everyone. Today I'm finally working on the mantle again. I'm really hoping that you see this video a week after the last video that I posted, part 1 of the mantle. But in working time, it's been about 3 weeks since I filmed that project, just with everything going on and having to navigate schedules. The mantle has kind of thrown me for a loop, and so it has been on a little bit of a pause, but it's time to resume and finally finish this piece. There are a few holes that are pretty deep that I need to fill for the mantle, and I didn't want to use the same wood filler that I've used in the past. I haven't really loved any wood fillers yet, so I picked up a new to me product, but it's professional wood filler, contains real wood fibers. It can be sanded and stained over. I have used that products previously, but this one comes in a different container than what I'm used to, so I think it's going to be a little bit more durable. So I'm gonna give it a try. We'll see how it works. Hopefully I like it.
Ooh, this is thick.
Once the wood filler was dry, I sanded with a 220 grit, and then I went over each section with a damp rag so that I wouldn't damage the veneer with too much sanding, but it still helped smooth out the wood filler. I did really like this product. It was a lot easier to spread than other wood fillers that I've used, and it really didn't shrink, which was so nice. This is absolutely not sponsored in any way, but I did really like this product. After sanding, I added wood conditioner to the top of the mantle. I wanted to make sure to wood fill and finish sanding before adding any wood conditioner to the top, so I had just skipped the top whenever I did the wood conditioner for the rest of the mantle. This is honey and this is red oak. I really like this one, but I feel like it's gonna end up being a lot more red once it's dried. This is Jacobine and dark walnut. I feel like I cannot tell the difference between the two. I'm gonna try a red oak with dark walnut on top, and then I'm gonna try a honey with dark walnut on top to see if that gives me anything that I would like. My initial thought was to do the red oak stain with dark walnut to get the dark color that I want, but the red to come through that Jared really likes from the initial wood. I'm really liking honey a lot. I like this a lot more than I thought I would. I do think I maybe need a sample on the mantle as well. Jared and I talked about a lot of different colors that could possibly go into the mantle and then the floor later on. Whenever I had to rip up all of the cardboard the other day, he saw the color of the flooring that we have currently, and he said he really likes that color. And he was like, can we kind of just keep this color? Like, I like the color. Obviously it needs to be cleaned, but if we can keep this similar color whenever you do go to refinish the floors. So I put a lot of thought into it. I was like, yeah, we can definitely work with that. I believe the floor is a red oak, so the flooring has like a red color to it, but it's also pretty dark. It's not overtly red, but it's also like you can tell that it's a red wood, and that whatever is on top of the flooring just really brought out a lot of red. So I wanted to kind of mute that down a little bit. I didn't want it to be quite so red, but I decided to not go with like a deep brown, which is what I initially had wanted for the entire house. So I had a couple of inspiration photos that I really like. I found a bunch of pictures from other old homes in Illinois, in northern Illinois specifically, and I was really using those most for inspiration on what color I wanted to make the floors and all of the woodwork in the house. So I did my test piece here. I did honey, red oak, Jacobine, dark walnut, and then after I stopped recording, I did a red oak, dark walnut, red oak, and then I did a honey, dark walnut, honey to see how that would change this particular piece of flooring and to see if I can get a dark color without it being too red. I was extremely shocked by how well honey alone, just the honey color, how well that brought out like the color in this wood. And whenever I did my test sample on top of the mantle, it just looked really pretty. So for the mantle, we are going to go with the color Honey by Varthane. Eventually, whenever we redo the floors, I'm probably going to have another sample as well, but the goal is to keep the color throughout all of the woodwork so that way it looks really cohesive. I am a little nervous about using it in future projects because so many things could go wrong, but for now, let's just finish this mantle. While I apply the stain, let's talk about this top section. After I added wood conditioner to the mantle, the middle section was so much darker than the side. I decided to do another round of chemical stripper and degreaser for the middle section only, but I still ended up with the middle section being darker than the two sides, and I hated it. I persevered though. I decided to apply more stain to the sides and then wipe away as much as I could from the middle section, but it still ended up so uneven across the top of the mantle. So much so that even Jared was like, that looks pretty bad. But then I was on my last chance, Hail Mary move, and I ended up purchasing some wood bleach and spraying it over the dried stain in the middle section only. I was so careful with this wood bleach. I did not want to get it everywhere. The product that I used said to apply to the area and then let it sit for 10 minutes before reapplying. So I did 3 applications and it worked wonders, y'all. I was so excited. I was literally sitting on the sofa watching the wood bleach work and even out all of the color. It was so awesome. I really was just so pleased with how it evened out the color on the front of the mantle. But I definitely should have done the wood bleach before I stained it. It all worked out in the end, thankfully. But I think looking back, I would have just gone in with the wood bleach after I had wood conditioned and saved myself a bunch of steps and a bunch of headaches. And it probably would have turned out around about the same way. I don't fully know what caused this issue. Maybe the age of the mantle, the different stains and paints over the years, or even like different types of woods that could be used on the mantle that would cause this discoloration. I've had several people comment and message me their thoughts on the issue as well, which I super appreciate. And I hope that I can use that feedback on future projects moving forward. I definitely know, like wood bleach, for instance, if I have to use it, I'm now a little familiar with it, so I will be using it if needed for future projects. This was my first time having to strip anything in this house, but it absolutely will not be my last. So definitely taking a lot of the lessons learned here and moving forward with it. There were still so many little places that had white paint that was actually impossible for me to remove. The detail work at the top and the gaps between the top and bottom pulls on both sides being just the worst areas. So I went in with some stain markers and a really fine paintbrush to cover up as much of the white as I possibly could. I did buy these stain markers, but I didn't love them. And I found that the best way to cover this paint was actually to use just a super fine paintbrush and paint with the stain that I had. For the top detail work, I really did not want it to look splotchy again, so I was very mindful about the extra stain being added and actually added some additional stain to areas that didn't even have paint to give it depth and make it look more intentional rather than looking like a cover-up. For the top where I added wood filler, I used 2 different fill sticks and just basically colored until I was content with the results, and I think it turned out really great. Once everything was done and filled the way that I liked it, I went in with just a satin top coat and sealed everything. And by this point, you've watched me paint this mantle at least 100 times. So let's just go into the good stuff that you're waiting for, the outro and the final reveal of this mantle. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. You guys, I removed all the plastic and I cleaned off the tiles and like the surrounding areas. It looks so freaking good. It looks so good. I'm really pleased with the color and the outcome. So let me show you what the mantle looks like. I'm going to show you in just a second, but please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment down below if you enjoyed this project. I really loved reading your comments and what you had to say about the mantle on the last video. So feel free to leave me some additional comments on this video. I have a ton more renovation content coming up that you definitely don't want to miss. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and here is the mantle.